Being busy is not a badge of honor. It's usually a warning sign. Hustling might have gotten you this far, it might have gotten you here, but it's probably not going to take you much further. Today's most successful entrepreneurs aren't working harder anymore. They're doing things more strategically, and they're actually simplifying and doing things on easy mode. In this video, we're going to talk all about why hustle culture is no longer serving entrepreneurs and what you should be focused on instead. Hit that like button down below and let's get straight into it. Hustle culture really emerged from the early 2000s entrepreneurship world, and I would say kind of peaked between 2017 to 2019. So many of the buzzwords in entrepreneurship at that time were all about grinding, bootstrapping, and other words that really just denoted a lack of sleep. And this was absolutely fed to us by the spoonful through social media. We had so many entrepreneurs who really blew up as a result of not just achieving success in their own business, but really because they were known for this blunt, harsh, and what people perceived as truthful messaging around how you have to grind 24/7. And I just want to say that these entrepreneurs weren't wrong. A lot of the times that's how they built their business. So based on their own experiences, this is what they were telling people was necessary in order for them to make it. And part of this culture around hustling and around entrepreneurship was actually meant to stand in opposition to a traditional 9-to-5. There was this sentiment that if you were somebody who was clocking in and clocking out of a 9-to-5, then you were somebody who wasn't willing to put in the work to achieve anything more than what a 9-to-5 would give you. There was this idea that a 9-to-5 is easy and grinding and working 24/7 in order to achieve entrepreneurship was honorable and something that was significantly harder, therefore something that should reap the rewards primarily being money and freedom. And that's the thing, people looked at hustle culture as a form of freedom from the corporate work environment. But what people quickly found out is that it becomes its own trap. So a lot of people who were pushing the movement of hustle culture forward, who were some of the biggest figureheads, around 2019-ish or slightly earlier, a lot of them have kind of disappeared. And while yes, I'm sure some people have just made their money and kind of exited the limelight, I think also there were a lot of people who were in the game for 5, 10 plus years and realized that it wasn't sustainable to keep doing business the way that they had done business and the way that they had told everybody else to do business. The problem with hustle culture now that we all see and recognize are a couple of things. First of all, the biggest problem was that it really assumed and was fixated on the fact that working harder meant you would achieve more success, right? It assumed that the more hours you put into something, the better output you were going to get, or the more profitable output you were going to get. And now we all recognize that that simply isn't true. And it was kind of peddling the same narrative that society at large has always told us, which is if you just work hard, you will achieve the American dream or everything that you've ever wanted. And we know, especially the last couple of years, that that definitely isn't true for 99% of people. Most people work hard their whole lives and still found themselves in a position where they lost their jobs, they lost their home, and what took literally decades to achieve was gone like that. Another huge problem with that form of hustle culture was the fact that it really didn't account for burnout. It assumed that we would be able to work at insane high levels of capacity and hustling forever and ever. And I would argue that we are at a moment in society and in history where it feels like people have less capacity than ever. And my personal opinion is that we are just at a point in society where there seems to be a crossroads when it comes to everything. It feels like you either have to choose your mental health or your physical health or having a community, having a family. I'm not saying that the average person has to have it all, but what I'm saying is that it feels like the average person can't even have one of those things fully developed and confident about the fact that it's not something that they have to worry about moving forward. It feels like everybody is just on edge when it comes to everything. And if you guys feel like you're seeing this too, I would love to know that I'm not crazy and I'm not the only one. So drop a comment down below and let me know your thoughts. So because people are more susceptible to burnout, essentially nobody can even grind for as long enough as they need to in order to achieve the level of success that they were sold with hustle culture. I cannot think of one person that I know who would be able to last 5 years of pedal to the metal grind. Nobody seems to have it in them anymore, and I don't think that's shameful. I just think it's where we're at. So right now in this day and age, we're seeing the shift from doing more to doing more of the right things. That's one of the key pillars that I talk about in this channel. I often talk about how entrepreneurs and business owners, it's not that they're not putting in the work, but oftentimes people aren't putting their concentrated efforts in the right direction. Whereas hustle culture tells you, do everything to an extreme level, put the pedal to the metal on everything. And that's just not the way you have to do things anymore. There are so many supports available to you. I always say the barrier to doing business has never been lower. There's a million tools, AI tools, SaaS tools that can help you now and do so much of the heavy lifting for you. We're more interconnected now as a planet than ever. So access to information is readily available. Access to people is readily available. There's nothing that you don't have access to, but with all of that access, you need to focus on doing the right things and not just doing more overall. Which leads us to a key aspect, which is what we need to focus on instead of the hustle. So I'm going to give you guys a couple of different perspectives, and I would love to hear down below in the comment section which one you are looking to prioritize and which one you think applies to you the most. So instead of just focusing on hustling harder, a great place to focus on is strategic prioritization. So this is all about putting into practice Pareto's principle, really doubling down on the 20% of things in your business that move the dial and actually account for 80% of your revenue or 80% of your clients. I always say not all tasks are created equally, so we cannot give everything in our business an equal amount of attention, care, and effort. You have to have some level of prioritization in your business, which again, hustle culture was pushing the exact opposite of that. The second point, which hustle culture would hate to see coming, would hate to even hear about, is energy management. This is a really important topic that I touch on in so many videos because here's the thing, a lot of people watching this video are solopreneurs. You're the only person in your business. You only have so much to give. You only have so much energy. You only have so much time. So that idea of strategic prioritization actually flows over into you when it comes to energy management. You need to understand where you work best in your business and where you have to be, and work to ensure that there's overlap in those areas so that you don't find yourself in a position where you're saying something like, I love my business, but I hate running it, which by the way, I've done a whole video on, which I will link up above and down below in the description box for you. This is about playing to your natural strengths and the natural rhythm of your body. There are things that you are naturally good at. There are things that are in your zone of genius that you find are easy. And there's also probably just a certain way that you like to work and get things done. This is what energy management is about. It's not about resisting who you are, forcing yourself to constantly go against what your body is telling you, what your mind is telling you. It's actually about leaning into those things in order to maximize the benefit of them. And the third focus area is around systems and structures. Like I mentioned earlier, we are in a day and age where there's more tools and resources than ever that will help you achieve structure in your business and create systems that are going to do so much of the heavy lifting for you and allow you to be more efficient than ever. So instead of burning the candlelight at the table, staying up all night, hustling to get things done. No, we are at a time period where you can actually automate repetitive tasks that you spend 30% of your day doing. Your entire client onboarding process can be like 90% automated and doesn't require any manual intervention from you. These are the things that free you up in your business, allow you to not hit a point where you're burnt out, and allow you to step into the role of CEO because you actually have the capacity to do that. You have the ability to do it because you're not spending 12 hours a day just grinding. So it is time to let go of hustle culture, y'all. It is time to let go of those limiting beliefs that are still lingering from that era, because what letting go will allow you to achieve is that next level that looks like sustainability, that looks like longevity, instead of quick dopamine wins and quick dopamine money. Because for so many of us, hustle culture taught us how to start, how to just jump into something, push forward, and start. But it's not going to teach us how to stay in our business and achieve something truly long lasting. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button down below and don't forget to hit subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.